First order of business, we approving the minutes from last month's meeting. Excuse me?
Quiet in the room.
Start of meeting.
Make that motion.
A second.
John?
Second.
By Patty. All in favor?
Aye.
First one we have is local law G, local law County of Albany, New York, to limit the length of time that canines may be restrained outdoors to no more than 2 hours and continuous 12-hour period. Sponsored. Next one is local law R, local law for the County of Albany, prohibiting Albany County government from assisting in the investigation of citizenship and immigration status of any person. Table of the sponsored. And number 3 is resolution number 376, public hearing proposed local law R for 18. That's also tabled. And the first order of business we have is authorizing an agreement with OD Security North America regarding the purchase of full-body scanning security system in the Albany County Correctional Facility. Chuck?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is a $121,000 purchase. It's for a full-body scanning system. Last year, the governor signed into law, it was Bill A6838, which is allowing correctional facilities to have body scanners. This is going to be one of the most invaluable tools that we have at the jail. The amount of contraband that gets smuggled in or attempted to smuggle in, what they do with sharp-edged objects, where they hide them. So now every new inmate coming in will go through the body scanner. After every visit, the inmate will go through the body scanner. I cannot put staff through it. I cannot put visitors through it.
Any questions for Sheriff?
What is it, is this enhanced from what we have now?
We don't have any body scanners.
Oh, okay.
Actually, we'll be the first correctional facility in the state to have a body scanner. We've gone out, we've shopped, we found them from, well, 120 to 300,000. We were preparing a bid for another company, or a quote from another company, and then this company reached out to us. They have a far superior product, actually, for $60,000 less than the next one. So it's just like similar to like the TSA machine, where you go through, put your hands up, stand on the 2 yellow feet, it scans your body, it looks for any objects that could be secreted within, or maybe you just swallowed a balloon or something to that effect. And again, that's how the contraband gets in. The inmate's coming in because we can't do a strip search, or a visit comes in, a quick embrace and a kiss, they swallow the balloon, and we know what happens next.
So this, I'm sorry. Okay. So this is just for the inmates?
I can't by law put anybody else through it other than inmates.
Why? I know you said
By law.
but I mean, if they can, you said this is just like what we go through out at the airport?
Yes. Listen, I'd like to put everybody through it, but they're not gonna let me do it. So it'll be just the inmates.
So let me ask you this then. We know the different instances that have occurred with finding people, you know, and I have seen some things, you know, I never did ask what the outcome of some of the contraband issues, you know, were, who actually brought it in.
Right.
Like the young man that died.
Overdosed?
Right. I mean, I don't know where it came from.
Right.
Or the young lady that had it, I guess, was it in her hand? I don't know.
Yeah, she had it in her hand.
Okay.
It was secreted, and then when she got inside the jail, she removed it and tried to get rid of it. I don't think with the camera going behind me, you want me to go too much more into depth.
Okay. So, but I was just wondering, you really, how many cases possibly there are? I mean...
Several. I can tell you several. People come in with razors. People will come in with shanks that they've sharpened and secreted. They'll go down to court. Something will be passed off in court. They'll swallow it, or they will secrete it in their backside and then come in and use it as a weapon against another inmate or against another officer. It happens constantly. So if I can stop it at the gate and stop it at visits, there's only one other way it's coming in.
Yes.
Sheriff, so after the visits, that they get scanned again before they went back to their tier?
Right.
Okay. And if you do find something in their body, what's your procedure? What do you have to do? Do you take them to a hospital, or?
Well, at some points, if it looks like it's a weapon or something to that effect, we would talk to our medical staff,
Yeah.
and then we would file and try to get a court order, whether it be a court order, colonoscopy, or whatever. Sometimes they can
Let
reach in
nature
and get
take
it
its
out
course, yeah.
themselves. Other times, you have to wait for it to pass.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? We have a motion?
Fun job. Motion.
Motion by Marty.
Who gets assigned that?
All in favor?
The reality of the job, right?
Welcome to the correctional.
That's how the sheriff got to start.
Resolution number 5, authorizing agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management regarding the lease of vehicles for the sheriff's office.
Sure, so this is a new concept that is kind of taking over our state and how we manage our fleet. What we're looking to do is lease 17 vehicles through Enterprise. These 17 vehicles, basically, it's instead of purchasing them, we'll have a lease program with them. It sets us up right off the bat, we're saving about $22,000. And then on top of it, when the vehicle is decommissioned, we save an additional $1,300 in decommissioning it. Then the value, whatever the value is of that vehicle, Enterprise sells off, and the equity of that goes into the purchase of the next vehicle. So for us, this is a complete win. It almost seemed too good to be true, but several counties throughout the state are going into this lease program. It's also going to allow us to get into safer vehicles, more efficient vehicles. Our maintenance costs should be able to be dropped, which we'll have a good pulse on going into the next budget. And obviously, our fuel consumption, we're hoping will drop because we're running a more efficient vehicle. Where some of my vehicles now have 200, 190, 220,000 miles on them, we're pumping thousands of dollars a month in maintenance costs. We won't have to do that now. We'll have a brand-new fleet, in essence, that will be rotated through every couple of years. If they see that the vehicle is starting to, Enterprise actually manages it. If they see that vehicle A is starting to get a little high on the mileage, they'll tell us, hey, you may want to rotate into a less, another division where it's going to be utilized less, or you'll be replacing it sooner. So right off the bat this year, it'll be $210,000. Year 2, 3, and 4, it drops to $145,000, whereas historically, we're dropping close to $300,000 a year on our fleet.
So if I'm to understand you correctly, the monitoring of the vehicles, it stays with Enterprise?
They'll be monitoring the mileages and everything else as well, and we do it as also, but now it'll be done by somebody who's trained in doing it and does it for a living. So they'll be able to tell us, hey, this vehicle is, the life expectancy may not be 4 years, you only get 2.5 at its current pace. Let's put it down into, transportation or the airport, where those cars get a longer longevity because they're not running all over the place, they're just doing laps around the airport. So we might be able to get the extra 1.5 years out of it.
So these are 4-year leases?
4-year leases. They come completely done. Turn the key. They're striped. The lights are on them. Every single thing is done. Where now when we buy a vehicle from Warnock or whomever, we're sending it out. We're getting it striped. We're sending it out, getting the radio, the siren, everything done. This vehicle's coming, turning the key and going out on the road.
For $35,000 a piece, fitted like that?
Yes.
Wow.
I think it was a little higher than that, wasn't it?
It says 35,700.
And then the additional material, and then was that the final cost, 35,000?
It was around that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and again, when
That
we're
was going to be
done,
my question, what was the extra cost
And
to
then-
fit it, stripe it, and
right, and then
everything?
when we're done though, Patty, we're paying money to have that vehicle
Yeah.
decommissioned, to have the striping taken out, the radios, everything. We just give them the car back, here you go, give us a new car.
Sounds like a good
What
deal.
kind of vehicles are these?
These are the same Ford Explorers.
They are.
Yeah.
Which
We
are,
can go with any vehicle that, whatever we want to go with, they'll modify to go, to suit our needs. But these in particular, oh, the Chargers? I'm sorry, Chargers.
other charges?
All-wheel drive.
Back to sedans. Okay.
And this isn't this isn't the entire fleet. This is just, we're a little skeptical to go with everything. We said, you know what, let's take a chunk. 17 is a good number, I think, for us to start with, and then hopefully we can expand upon it.
Which are typically 50, 60,000 a piece, fully outfitted?
Well, by the time you're done, they're close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited. I think it's going to be a very efficient program. It's automatically cost savings for the county. And again, we'll have good eyes and ears watching the cars, hopefully lower maintenance, lower fuel.
Sheriff, one other thing, I know sometimes people have problems with leases with over running the mileage. Is that a possible issue or?
No, it's not with us. Again, you know, they're gonna monitor it. If we have to move the car around, we can do that. But the other part of it is also that if we turn one in with lower mileage, we get that much more equity to roll into the next leasing program. So, you know, it sounds a little bizarre that we'd be doing it, but so far, everybody we've talked to, Orange, Oneida just got 37 in yesterday off the lease program. Again, I want to start a little small just to make sure that it's a good program and it's going to be efficiently run and there is in fact a true savings, and then next year we'll expand upon it.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Keeping a close eye.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've always been a little skeptical of leasing.
Yeah, me too.
I've done it myself,
Yeah.
because when you turn the car in, you have no equity. When you own a car, you have some equity, and the terms are negotiated, so, but ultimately you have to live up to the terms.
Right.
So I'm glad you're doing it just as a kind of a
Yeah, it's
sample
going to be a
test.
concept.
Because the costs all have to, of course, have to be evaluated across the board.
And again, these cars will have equity. So if this car, Enterprise doesn't sell this Charger. If this Charger sells for $3,200, that gets rolled into the next
Oh,
car.
so you benefit from their sale? then?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and the decommissioning that we don't pay $1,300 a car for. So again, we're gonna take, half the fleet, check it out.
Yes, it's gonna be-
Hopefully it'll work out well for us and we can expand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions?
So we're looking at roughly, $600,000 for these cars, and if we were to buy them, I just did a rough number, 17 cars, about 1.1 mil,
Yeah,
fully outfitted.
yeah, and we're gonna pay $210 this year and $145 each year after. But again, don't forget, Sean, that, our maintenance costs, now we're gonna have newer vehicles as opposed to, 5, 6-year-old vehicles with, 100,000+ on them. So, it's gonna be safer for the men and women operating them and more efficiently, I think, managed. Our maintenance costs will go down, hopefully, maybe even the fuel costs.
Yeah.
You typically rotate them out 4 years or so anyway, right?
Yeah, give or take whatever division. Again, they have to, if monitored properly, this should be a no-brainer for us. Because as the mileage creeps a little, maybe that car has to go to the airport, get it out of transportation. We were made with, bail reform and everything else coming in, our guys are gonna be running all over the state with some of these cars
Right.
because there's nowhere to house a lot of these juveniles. So, some of the cars probably will pack it on pretty quick.
Worth a shot.
Yeah.
Other questions? Have a motion?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor? This resolution number 6, authorizing the submission of a grant application, New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the 2018 hazmat grant.
Mr. Chairman, this is a $150,000 grant. This is for the 4-county hazmat team, Albany, Rensselaer, Saratoga, Schenectady. Up until a couple years ago, we only got half of this. The state's been pretty good with us recently. It allows us to build our resources, our supplies. It's for meetings. It's for research and planning for crude oil incidents. And we're shooting towards our accreditation, which is required by the state.
Questions?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I will say one other added part, some of this money last year and some of the money this year has also been allocated towards mass spectrometers. And it is great for like a white powder incident, something to that effect, we get called out to a scene. The other part of it is that we've been able to test some of the drugs that we've been taking off the street, which has been giving us a breakdown of what we have. Do we have heroin? Do we have fentanyl? So they're very technical and very valuable.
We have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8, amending the 2019 sheriff's, sorry. 7, okay. Authorizing submission of the grant application, New York State Division of Homeland Security, Emergency Services regarding the explosive detection and team grant program.
This is a $50,000 grant with no match from the Department of Homeland Security Services for our K-9 program. With this $50,000, we're going to allocate it towards a K-9 vehicle.
Any questions?
No.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
should put a vehicle or
Those in
the
favor?
dog.
The vehicle for the dog,
Amending-
but he has a driver too, so don't worry.
Number 8, amending the 2019 Sheriff's Office budget, vehicle salvage.
This is $26,000 I'd like to drop into our vehicle line. It's from cars that were either involved in accidents or old cars that we've sold off at auctions. Obviously, with the going into a lease program, we will not get any of these funds anymore. We're getting rid of the cars. That money we rolled right into the next lease. But these funds here, we got rid of a whole bunch of cars.
Questions?
Move it.
Second.
Those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Number 9, amending resolution number 563 for 2018, for security equipment and 2019 Sheriff's Office budget.
Mr. Chairman, when we negotiated the inmate phone contract about a year ago at this point, part of the contract was for a $115,000 one-time technology grant. We'd like to accept that at this point.
Questions?
Yeah. What's the technology grant for the inmate telephone? What is that?
It was something above and beyond the cost of the contract. We added in this grant. We were trying to get as much money out of them as possible. So we figured one way to do it would be to get a technology grant. We anticipate taking this technology grant and getting another body scanner in the months to come.
Okay, so am I to understand that people are still, I don't know, everybody I talk to, they're talking to people on cell phones?
Well, there better not be any cell phones in our jail.
Oh, okay. All right,
Anything you
Throwing
want to tell
somebody
me?
under the bus?
I don't have any questions, I don't know. I don't know.
She's withdrawing her question.
Scratch that, delete.
Any questions?
Talked to
No,
somebody the other
I'm
day out
done,
there.
I'm done. I don't know nothing.
Get him, Larry.
You have a motion?
Phone records are at least a key.
Motion by Wanda.
Yeah.
Second.
Second.
Stay away.
Those in favor? Motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the sheriff.
Yes, sir.
May I? I'm just wondering, I might have missed this, local law R. What are we doing with that thing? And so much as the governor has ordered state police not to ever involve themselves in investigation of the immigration status of,
I'm not familiar with local law R.
Sanctuary City.
Oh, yeah, I don't agree with sanctuary, making this a sanctuary county. I've said that before, I'll say it again.
Bill Kevin, City Manager, address you on that.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, so I talked to Mr. Fine, who's the lead sponsor of local law R. There's several technical issues we need to work out, and it's my understanding he's conferring with his co-sponsors and doing that, so that's on hold for now.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Any motion to adjourn?
Go ahead and ask my question, Mr. Chairman.
I can answer it.
Sure.
So here's the issue. The way that law was written, the first draft that I had a chance to look at, we've done some great things at our correctional facility. The men and women on our road have done great things to help immigration, to help immigrants.
Yeah, I know you have.
I recently authored a letter to the local ICE instructing them not to come into our courts prior to the state doing this. We did it here in Albany County because everybody should have access to justice, whether you're a victim or you want to come in as a witness, whatever the case may be. And there's a lot of cases, very heinous cases, that go unreported because they're afraid of being picked up and deported. With that said, the word sanctuary city, sanctuary county, sanctuary state does nothing but placate people. It does not change anything. We're going to continue to do what we need to do and treat people the way that we need to treat them, like we've done for as long as I've been in law enforcement. But people get hooked on this sanctuary status because they think it's going to change a lot. The way that law is written, what it's going to do is it's going to stop a lot of the good work that we're doing at the county jail. It's going to stop us from working with people to come in and get access to justice, whether you're a citizen of this country or a non-citizen of this country. And we've done things above and beyond anybody else in this country, right here in Albany, New York. And I'm very proud of the work that the men and women have done. And this law is going to put a damper on that, and I'd hate to see that happen. We're doing good things. Just to give it a title, why do we have to do that? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Me, John.
Motion by Wanda, second. All in favor?
Thank you.